Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. We're tackling a really buzzy topic today, manifesting money.
Oh, yeah, this seems to be everywhere these days.
It is. And, a lot of our listeners are really interested in those techniques,
Yeah.
like affirmations and visualization and all that to try to attract more money.
Right.
So we're going to dive into a popular guide, actually. It's called Steps to Manifest Financial Abundance,
Yeah.
to kind of unpack it, not just like what it says, um, but why these techniques might actually work.
Yeah.
We know you're busy, so we've broken this guide down to like the most fascinating parts, the juicy bits for you.
Yeah, it is fascinating how this guide kind of blends that practical advice with, some concepts that some might say are a little out there. It's
Right.
not just about like, wishing for wealth. It combines that with some psychology, some actual steps, which is kind of an interesting approach.
Yeah. So, okay, let's unpack that. The guide starts by really emphasizing this idea of setting a clear intention.
Yes,
Like they really hammer that home.
they do.
Not just like, I want to be rich,
Right.
but
Yeah.
like a very specific goal.
Yeah, they suggest getting specific about that exact amount that you want to attract and really importantly, why you want it.
Right.
There's even an example in there. I want to attract $10,000 to pay off my debt and create financial freedom.
Okay.
Having that deeper purpose, it fuels your motivation and it makes your goal more powerful.
Hmm.
Kind of reminds me of goal setting psychology in general. Having a clear, meaningful reason behind your actions tends to lead to better results.
It makes sense. Yeah. I've always been curious about these affirmations that everyone's talking about.
Right.
The money flows to me easily and effortlessly.
Mhm.
Does saying stuff like that actually make a difference?
Well, affirmations alone, they might not magically fill up your bank account.
Right.
But this guide suggests they can be a powerful tool for shifting your mindset. It's about repetition
Mhm.
and, interestingly, feeling the emotion as if the money's already yours. Almost like you're training your mind to believe in the possibility.
So it's not just like wishful thinking. You're actually shaping your thoughts and beliefs.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a form of acting as if, which some psychologists think can actually influence your behavior and ultimately your outcomes.
Hmm.
Think about it. If you constantly tell yourself you're going to fail, you're probably more likely to give up easily.
Right.
But if you believe you can succeed, you're more likely to persevere through challenges.
Makes sense. Yeah. The guide also talks a lot about visualization.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very visual person, so this one always kind of intrigues me.
Right.
What's the deal with that?
Yeah, visualization is about, creating a vivid mental image of yourself already having that money that you desire.
Okay.
The guide encourages you to close your eyes, feel that joy of achieving your goal, and really immerse yourself in that experience,
Hmm.
almost like daydreaming with a purpose. And this actually aligns with some research on mental rehearsal. Athletes have been using visualization techniques for years to improve their performance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're priming your brain for success,
Yeah.
but repeatedly visualizing it. The guide also mentions vision boards, where you make a collage of images and quotes that represent your financial goals.
Right.
I've always been curious about those. I never really understood the point.
Yeah, you can think of them as visual reminders to keep your goals, top of mind.
Okay.
You're surrounding yourself with images that inspire and motivate you and reinforce those positive beliefs and aspirations.
That makes sense.
And honestly, who doesn't love a good DIY project?
Okay, so we've got clear intentions, positive affirmations, and vivid visualization. What's next on this journey to abundance?
Well, then the guide highlights the importance of gratitude.
Okay, so being thankful for what you have, even if it's not a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about shifting your focus, from a sense of lack to one of abundance. And that can be a really powerful mindset shift. And research actually suggests that practicing gratitude can have a positive impact on well-being, not just financially.
Hmm.
When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're less likely to dwell on, what you're missing.
Yeah.
And that can actually lead to better financial decisions.
That makes sense because if you're constantly focused on what you don't have, it can create this negative spiral.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gratitude kind of helps break that cycle.
Right. Yeah, it creates a more positive, receptive energy.
Okay, this is all great, but I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is all this inner work enough?
Mm.
Do we just sit around visualizing and affirming, or is there action involved?
That's a great point, and the guide addresses that head on. Step 5 is all about taking inspired action.
Okay, so it's not just wishing and hoping.
Right.
You have to be open to opportunities and take those leaps of faith.
Exactly, yeah. The guide talks about trusting your intuition and being willing to put in the work. It's about finding that balance, between the inner work, those affirmations and visualizations, and taking real-world steps towards your goals.
It's like planting a seed.
Yeah.
You can visualize the beautiful flower it'll become, but you still have to water it and give it sunlight.
Oh, that's a great analogy. Yeah, it's about recognizing that you have a role to play in this manifestation process.
Now, I know from experience one of the biggest obstacles to manifesting anything, especially money, is those pesky negative thoughts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The guide calls these limiting beliefs.
Yeah, those thoughts like money is hard to get or I don't deserve wealth. They can be so insidious.
hmm
How do we deal with those?
Well, step 6 tackles that head on. It's about consciously identifying and replacing those negative beliefs with positive affirmations.
Mm.
You're essentially having a mental debate. You're arguing back against those self-sabotaging thoughts and choosing a more empowering belief system.
Oh, that reminds me of cognitive behavioral therapy techniques,
Yeah.
where you challenge and reframe those negative thought patterns.
Exactly. It's a similar principle applied to your financial mindset. You're consciously choosing thoughts that support your goals rather than hinder them.
Okay, so we're working on our thoughts, taking inspired action, and practicing gratitude.
Mm.
What else can we do to stay on this path to abundance?
Well, step 7 is all about staying aligned with abundance in every aspect of your life.
Okay, so surrounding yourself with positivity, the people you spend time with, the environments you frequent, the things you read and watch.
Exactly, yeah. The guide also emphasizes celebrating even the smallest wins and acknowledging your progress no matter how small.
Mm.
It's about focusing on what's working rather than dwelling on what isn't.
And what about this idea of keeping your vibration high? I've heard that term before, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Yeah, that's a concept often used in the world of manifestation. It refers to your overall energy, your emotional state.
Yeah.
The idea is that like attracts like.
Right.
If you cultivate a positive, abundant energy, you're more likely to attract similar experiences.
Mm.
It's like when you're in a good mood, you tend to notice more positive things happening around you, and you're more likely to attract positive people and opportunities.
Oh, that's interesting. So things like meditation exercise,
hmm
spending time in nature, doing things that make you feel good, those all contribute to a higher vibration.
Precisely. Yeah, it's about creating an internal environment that's conducive to attracting abundance.
Okay. All right. So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
Okay.
From setting clear intentions to taking inspired action, this guide offers a really fascinating approach to attracting financial abundance.
Mhm.
What stands out to you so far?
For me, it's the way this guide weaves together those practical goal-setting techniques with these more esoteric concepts like
Yeah.
energy and vibration.
Right.
It's a unique blend of psychology and what some might call woo-woo ideas. But hey, if it works, who are we to judge?
Right. Now, I know this might all sound a little out there for some people,
Sure.
but I'm really struck by this emphasis on mindset. It's not just about external actions, but about cultivating a belief system that supports abundance.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about aligning your internal world with your external goals.
Yeah.
That internal shift seems to be like a common thread throughout this whole guide.
Totally agree. And that's a powerful takeaway for anyone, regardless of whether they fully embrace this whole concept of manifestation or not.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, we need to address the elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Does all this really work? Is there any proof beyond anecdotal evidence?
Right.
I've gotten a lot of questions from listeners about that, and we'll tackle those head on in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. It's so interesting to explore this intersection of like practicality and let's call it mindset magic when it comes to money.
Right.
But like we just discussed, the big question on everyone's mind is, does this stuff really work?
Right. We've gotten so many questions from listeners about that.
Yeah.
Some people are wondering if manifestation is just wishful thinking, a little too good to be true. I have to admit, I've had my own doubts too.
Yeah, it's definitely a valid question. And to be honest, there's no like hard scientific proof that manifestation works in the way it's often portrayed.
Right.
It's really important to approach these ideas with a critical mind.
Yeah.
We're not saying you can just think your way to $1 million.
Right.
But what is interesting is that a lot of the techniques in this guide actually connect to like well-established psychological principles.
Okay, so let's break that down. How does a concept like setting clear intentions, something this guide really emphasizes, align with what we know about psychology?
Well, setting a clear intention is basically the same as setting a specific, measurable goal.
Right.
And in goal-setting theory, that's considered a fundamental step towards achieving any desired outcome.
Hmm.
Having that clarity gives you a roadmap to follow.
Okay. And what about those affirmations? Is there any psychological basis for repeating those positive phrases over and over?
Yeah.
I've tried it
Uh,
before, and it honestly felt a little silly.
I hear you. It can definitely feel a little awkward at first.
Yeah.
But, think about it this way. If you're constantly bombarded with negative messages, whether from yourself or the outside world, it can be hard to maintain a positive outlook.
Right.
Affirmations are a way to kind of counteract those negative messages by consciously introducing positive ones.
Hmm.
And, in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a proven therapeutic approach, challenging and reframing negative thoughts is a key principle.
So you're essentially rewiring your brain to focus on the positive rather than the negative.
Exactly. And, repeated affirmations, they might actually play a role in neuroplasticity,
Okay.
which is the brain's ability to change and adapt over time.
Hmm.
So by repeatedly exposing yourself to positive affirmations, you might actually be strengthening those neural pathways associated with positive thinking.
That's fascinating. Okay, so we've got goal setting and cognitive behavioral therapy. What about visualization? Is there any scientific backing for that?
Well, visualization is basically a form of mental rehearsal. And guess what? Athletes have been using mental rehearsal techniques for decades to enhance their performance.
Oh, wow.
By repeatedly visualizing themselves succeeding, they're not only improving their technique, but they're also building their confidence.
Right.
And confidence, as we know, is a key ingredient in achieving any goal.
So whether you call it visualization or mental rehearsal,
Okay.
the principle is the same.
Yeah,
You're training your mind to see that possibility of success.
right.
And the more you see it, the more you believe it. What about gratitude? Is there any evidence to support the idea that being grateful can actually lead to greater abundance?
There's a growing body of research on the positive psychological benefits of gratitude.
Hmm.
Studies have shown that people who regularly practice gratitude tend to be happier, healthier, and yes, even more financially successful.
Oh, wow.
Gratitude helps shift your focus away from scarcity and towards abundance, which leads to more positive emotions and better decision making.
It's like that saying, what you focus on expands. If you're constantly dwelling on what you lack, you're more likely to attract more lack.
Right.
But if you focus on what you're grateful for, you're more likely to attract more abundance.
Exactly. It's about creating that positive feedback loop.
Okay, let's tackle another big question that's come up from our listeners.
Yeah.
If manifestation is about aligning your thoughts and actions with your desires, does that mean you don't actually have to do anything? Can you just visualize your way to success?
That's a really common misconception.
Yeah.
And the guide addresses this directly. It emphasizes the importance of what it calls inspired action.
Okay.
It's not about passively waiting for the universe to deliver your dreams on a silver platter.
Right.
You have to meet the universe halfway.
So you might visualize landing that dream job, but you also need to update your resume and start
Right.
networking.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about recognizing and acting on opportunities, trusting your gut, and putting in the work.
It's that balance of inner and outer work that we talked about earlier.
Right.
You're changing your mindset and taking real-world actions that align with your goals.
Think of it like this. You're planting the seeds of your desires through your thoughts and beliefs, but you also need to nurture those seeds through your actions. It's a collaborative process.
That's a great way to put it. Now, life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. We all face setbacks and challenges.
Right.
What does the guide say about dealing with those inevitable bumps in the road?
Well, it talks about the importance of trust and patience, but it also acknowledges that setbacks are part of the journey.
Right.
The key is how you respond to them. It encourages you to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth and learning rather than viewing them as failures.
So it's about shifting your perspective and maintaining a positive mindset even when things get tough.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about remembering that setbacks are temporary and they don't diminish your worthiness of achieving your goals.
That's a really important point. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going your way.
Right.
But it's crucial to remember that you're still on the right path, even if there are a few detours along the way.
Okay, one last question before we move on. I've heard some people express concern about the potential for greed or materialism when it comes to manifesting money.
Right.
Is that something the guide addresses?
It definitely touches on that. It emphasizes the importance of aligning your financial goals with your overall values. It suggests that you ask yourself, what will I do with this money once I attract it?
Right.
How will I use it to make a positive impact on my life and the lives of others?
Right.
It encourages generosity, giving back to the community, and using your wealth for good.
So it's not just about accumulating wealth for its own sake, but about using it as a tool to create a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about finding that balance between personal prosperity and contributing to something larger than yourself.
And I think that's a really important point. It's about using your abundance to make a positive difference in the world, not just to indulge your own desires. Absolutely. It's about aligning your financial goals with your heart and your values.
We've talked a lot about the potential benefits of these manifestation techniques, but I think it's important to acknowledge that this approach isn't for everyone.
Right.
Some people might find it a bit too woo-woo or even uncomfortable.
You're absolutely right. And it's crucial to approach these ideas with discernment and critical thinking.
Right?
Ultimately, it's up to each individual to decide, whether these techniques resonate with them and align with their beliefs.
Right. We're all on our own unique journeys, and what works for one person might not work for another.
Hmm.
The key is to find what feels right for you and supports your personal growth. And speaking of personal growth, I think it's time to shift gears and explore something even bigger than manifesting money.
Okay.
The idea that these principles might apply to other areas of life.
Right.
If our thoughts and beliefs can impact our financial reality, could they also influence our relationships, our health, our creativity?
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We spent the last two parts really digging into this whole idea of manifesting financial abundance. But as we wrap up, I think it's time to zoom out a little and consider something even more mind-blowing. If our thoughts and beliefs can impact our financial reality, could they also influence other areas of our lives? Could we manifest better relationships or vibrant health, or even tap into our creative potential using these same principles?
That's a really fascinating question, and one that takes us beyond just personal gain and into, like collective well-being.
Right.
If we kind of buy into this premise that our thoughts shape our reality, it begs the question, what responsibility do we have to cultivate thoughts and beliefs that not only serve ourselves, but also contribute to a better world?
That's huge. It's like our individual mindsets aren't just personal matters. They have this potential to influence the collective consciousness, right?
Yeah, it is a thought-provoking concept. Imagine if we're constantly bombarded with messages of lack and scarcity and competition. Could those messages actually contribute to a more divided and less equitable world? It makes you wonder about the impact of our collective mindset.
It's kind of sobering when you
Yeah.
think about it that way. If our thoughts and beliefs have that much power, it feels like we have a responsibility to be mindful of the energy we're putting out into the world.
Absolutely. And on the flip side, if we consciously choose to cultivate thoughts of abundance and compassion and cooperation, could we contribute to a more harmonious and thriving society?
I love that idea. It's like we're all interconnected, part of this giant energy field, and our individual vibrations contribute to the overall frequency.
Precisely. And this concept aligns with a lot of spiritual and philosophical traditions that emphasize the interconnectedness of all beings. We're not just isolated individuals striving for our own gain, we're part of a larger web of life. So it's not just about manifesting a bigger bank account, but about contributing to a collective abundance that benefits everyone. It's about manifesting a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. But how do we actually put this into practice? What does it look like to manifest a better world?
Well, it starts with our own inner work,
Yeah.
We need to become aware of our own limiting beliefs and biases, and then consciously choose to cultivate thoughts and beliefs that are aligned with our values. It's like tending a garden. We need to weed out the negative thoughts that don't serve us or the greater good and plant seeds of compassion, generosity, and hope.
It's about choosing to focus on the positive, even when the world seems full of negativity. But it's not just about our thoughts, right? Our actions matter too.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the energy we're putting out into the world through our words and actions. Are we contributing to a more positive and uplifting collective vibration, or are we spreading negativity and fear? It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose in each moment what kind of energy we want to contribute to the world. So it's not just about manifesting personal abundance. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and acting in ways that promote well-being for everyone.
Yeah, it's about aligning our personal desires with the greater good. It's about using our power to manifest a reality that reflects our highest values and aspirations.
That's such a powerful message, and one that I think will really resonate with our listeners. It's a reminder that we're not just isolated individuals striving for personal gain. we have the potential to be conscious creators, using the power of our minds to shape a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
And that's a truly inspiring thought.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of manifesting money, and more importantly, for exploring this even greater possibility of manifesting a world that's more just compassionate and abundant for everyone. Until next time.